All right, here we go, and welcome into the Rocky Top Insider postgame. Rick Butler and Ryan Shumpert here with you to talk about Tennessee's win over Vanderbilt. It was Tennessee's 11th win over Vanderbilt by a score tonight of 77-68. Ryan, this was a little bit of a back-and-forth game, especially there in the first half. Vanderbilt took a 2-point lead into halftime. What was kind of going through your head at that point, and then how do you think Tennessee responded coming out of it in the second half?
Well, I think in a lot of ways it was kind of what has become a typical Tennessee-Vanderbilt basketball game, at least in Knoxville, a game that's usually closer than the line says and the one Tennessee controls. One thing that came to mind is I'm not sure, and I'll have to do a little research on this after, the last time a team led at halftime and led for less of the game. Because Vandy scored at the buzzer to take the lead for the first time in a game at halftime.
39-37.
39-37. Tennessee scored 14-2 run to start second half, so 4-0 run. Very quickly took the lead back.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt led at halftime. They led for probably maybe not even a full minute in the game. It was kind of crazy. But to actually your question, outside of that just weird anecdote that had been popping in my head the last half hour, no, it was how you'd expect Tennessee to respond. They were very good defensively in the second half. It took Vanderbilt, I think, nearly 9 minutes to make 2 field goals, and Tennessee took control of the game. Like I mentioned, that 14-2 run, that gave them a double-digit lead, and from there, I think it got maybe as high as 17-18, somewhere in there. Vanderbilt, just like Rick Barnes really harped on after the game, they didn't go away, got it back around the fringe of double digits at the end, and it was enough for Tennessee to get the job done. And again, kind of felt like a classic Tennessee Vanderbilt game in this now 11-game winning streak for the Vols in the series.
Yeah, and you know, I don't think too many people are maybe too worried about the second half in total. Even when Tennessee had that 2-point deficit at halftime, you still felt like, hey, Tennessee can make the adjustments needed. They can still come out and win this game, which they did. But I did think it was fascinating how Rick Barnes talked about after the game. He felt like maybe the veterans just weren't as locked in tonight. Felt like some of the other guys, like a Jemai Mashak, just wasn't as locked in tonight. Took a little bit of time to get there, but eventually, you're right. I think Tennessee came back in that second half. That veteran leadership brought them to where they needed to be, and they played a really suffocating defense in the second half there. Offense came together. Some highlight-worthy plays as well. Julian Phillips with a couple of really nice dunks. One of them a putback dunk over here. So ultimately, a solid night all around for Tennessee. No,
it certainly was. And Phillips, I thought, was one of the biggest positives. He had been on that kind of long, I don't know if we want to call it a slump, but area where he wasn't producing on the offensive end the way he was earlier in the season. Now, third straight game, he's played well offensively. Rick Barnes talked about it last week before they went to South Carolina. He feels like he's about to turn the corner. 15 points tonight on 9 shots. And you mentioned it. He had a couple electrifying dunks. He seemed to be really not only just Tennessee's tied for their leading scorer, but a big spark for them. And then I think the 2 other things that stood out, Zakai Ziegler, again, 9 assists. 27 assists over the last 3 games. You got to go back 9 games before that to find 27 assists. He's just turned into a different player, and not that he's necessarily way better than he was playing earlier in the year, but he's been a true point guard this last week and a half. And Rick Barnes talked about it. He said, you know, he's 5'9". You might think this guy's a point guard. He's played point guard his whole life, which he has, but he's not a natural point guard. He's a natural scorer. He's learning to play point guard, and I think that's a really encouraging sign for Tennessee. And then the last little note I had, Tennessee's been getting front court production, offensive production as of late. It's really been Olivier Camlois. He was quiet tonight, just 6 points. Jonas Adu had a strong night. Uros Plavsic, who had grabbed 4 offensive rebounds and was really good tonight, kind of helped step up and fill that void.
Uros Plavsic led the team in the plus-minus category.
He did.
At 17, which was an impressive number that I was looking at after the game. But to each one of those things you said, Ryan, I think you hit the nail on the head with Julian Phillips, but especially with Zakai Ziegler. It has been fascinating to watch his evolution, and one that there's still a lot more to go with.
There is,
well. I mean, Rick Barnes talked about after the game. I think you even asked him. Rick Barnes said, hey, look, he's a year and a half into his college career. Like, he is really just starting to figure this out and evolve his game into not only what he wants it to be, but Tennessee as well. All right, Ryan, in just a couple days, back here on this court, Kentucky coming to town. Kentucky, it's been a disappointing season for the Wildcats.
Say the least.
They lost to unranked. They're unranked, but they also lost to unranked South Carolina.
And also the worst team in the SEC, South Carolina tonight, at home.
Snapping a 28-game win streak. There is a lot going on right there. What do you kind of early expect for this game, Tennessee and Kentucky coming up on Saturday?
I expect Tennessee to play really well. I mean, I said before the game that I thought there was a better chance Tennessee would lose to Vanderbilt tonight than there would be to Kentucky on Saturday. I think Tennessee will be really locked in for that game. The veterans on this team, there's so many of them play a lot. They're going to be really excited, and I think you'll see a Tennessee team that comes out really tuned in, really fired up, and certainly a Kentucky team that's going to be really desperate to find just about anything that works.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be I think if anything tonight was maybe foreshadowing for Saturday, is that there was going to be a rowdy crowd
Definitely
in this building as well. They were loud all night throughout this game, and certainly at the right moments too. So going to be a fun afternoon in right here in Knoxville on Saturday.
Yeah, it will be Chris Lofton jersey retirement. That's right, so that's the big event, and really whatever's going to be, I think January 14th, today's Saturday. Finally, we got a big game for the first time this season at Thompson-Boling Arena.
Hey, should be a lot of fun. Coming off of a 77-68 win over Vanderbilt right here in Knoxville tonight. That's going to wrap it up for us for the Rocky Top Insider post-game show. That's Ryan Shumpert. I'm Rick Butler. We'll catch the next one for the Tennessee-Kentucky game this Saturday afternoon right here in Knoxville.